Welcome back to Movie Rewind. Today I will tell you about an action, thriller movie from 2018 titled Night Hunter. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with a woman running through a dark, snowy forest. She trips in the snow, and frantically looks behind her, as if there is someone chasing her. No one is immediately seen, so she gets up and continues running. The woman then makes her way up to an overpass, and her pursuer is now shown following her, in close pursuit. The pursuer stops running when he sees the woman is out of breath with nowhere to go. As he approaches her, the woman slowly leans backwards off the overpass, and falls into a bypassing truck full of lumber. Detective Walter Marshall arrives at his ex-wife's home to pick up his daughter, Faye. Faye is upset because her mother has been looking into her online activities. Walter sits down with Faye, and reiterates the dangers of interacting with strangers on the internet. Faye tries to end the conversation by standing up, and saying that she will just take the photos offline. However, Walter insists that she sit back down. After a little more discussion, Faye says that she understands, and they leave to drop Faye off at school. Meanwhile, a young woman, Laura, is at a diner having a milkshake with an unidentified man. She thanks him for the phone that he bought her, and the man calls it a secret phone, before taking a sip of her milkshake. They then go to a hotel room, which has red rose petals spread across the bed. Laura takes her coat off, and the man proceeds to take off his shirt. Just as he does, Michael hits the man in the back of the head, knocking him unconscious. Seeking more information regarding who has been contacting his daughter, Walter goes to his station's cybercrime task force. Upon arriving, one of the new profilers, Rachel, greets him happily and gives him a hug. Walter seems surprised to see her, and he doesn't introduce himself to the two technicians, Quinn and Glasgow. Back in the hotel room, the man wakes up and finds himself handcuffed to the bed, as Michael hands someone an envelope of money. Michael is a former judge, who now runs a vigilante sting operation with Laura. Panicking, the man starts apologizing, promising that he will get therapy for his problem. But Michael explains that will no longer be necessary, as he reveals that the man has already been castrated. Laura is then at another diner, now on a new operation. After waiting for a while, she figures that their target isn't showing up, and she calls Michael to come pick her up. Michael walks into the diner shortly after, but is told by the waitress that Laura has already left. Immediately realizing there is a problem, he returns to his car and tracks Laura's whereabouts, using the GPS earrings he had given her. While following Laura's tracker, Michael collides with another vehicle. Still panicked about losing track of Laura's location, he starts yelling at the other driver, telling him to move his vehicle. Before he can do so, a police officer responds to the accident scene. Michael is taken to the police station where they question him about the sting operation that he has been running with Laura. The police commissioner, Harper, recognizes Michael and says that he was a good judge who handled many of their past criminal cases. Michael, however, continues to be concerned only about Laura's safety, and urges the police to use his tracker to locate her. Walter enters the interrogation room, and Michael explains to him that the tracker uses cell towers to transmit the location. Walter uses the tracker and finds it stopped in a large house. He enters through one of the windows, and begins going through each room. Just as he is preparing to go up the stairs, Walter hears loud music coming from the basement, and heads down to investigate. Downstairs, Walter finds a corridor with multiple doors. Each door has multiple locks on the outside and a peep slot, resembling a prison block. He looks through one of the slots with his flashlight and a young woman suddenly appears, startling him. Walter signals to her that he is there to help, and continues walking towards the source of the music. Walter goes to the other side of the basement, and enters a room which is illuminated by Christmas lights. He then finds the suspect, Simon. After knocking Simon unconscious, Walter goes to clear the rest of the area. He opens another cell and finds Laura, sitting on the floor. Now back at the police station, Simon, who appears to be mentally challenged, is being questioned by Rachel. During the interrogation, Walter comes in with a device that Simon used on some of the women he abducted, which greatly impairs their hearing. Initially thinking that Simon was just refusing to talk, Rachel then discovers that Simon also cannot hear without assistance. Meanwhile, the investigative team is going through Simon's house, when a white gas begins pouring into the room. The gas immediately renders them unconscious, and proves to be fatal, killing 6 officers in total. Upon hearing this, Commissioner Harper bursts into the interrogation room and lifts Simon by the shirt, slamming him against the wall. Simon then falls to the ground and lays there weeping, while yelling at Harper to get out. Knowing that she'll never get any answers from Simon while in this state of mind, Rachel attempts to calm him down. Simon, who seems to have connected with Rachel, tries to say something to her, but she is unable to understand him. Rachel asks him to repeat whatever he said, however, Simon's speech impediment makes it impossible to interpret. That night, after work, Quinn and Glasgow walk out together, and go to their respective cars. Walter is still in his office when he hears Quinn's car explode, before bursting into flames. Still searching for a possible motive, the case file of Simon's mother is found. His mother, Amy Stulls, had also been abducted, and sexually assaulted, which was how she became pregnant with Simon. The next day, Laura is sitting at a restaurant with a new man. Walter interrupts them and sits down, saying that he needs to speak with Michael. Laura points to her ear, noting that Michael can already hear them, and Walter then proceeds to drop a pair of handcuffs on the table. He tells the man to take the liberty of handcuffing himself, otherwise he will let Laura and Michael inevitably castrate him. After reconvening, Michael says that Walter never asked him why he chose to take matters into his own hands with the sting operation. Walter responds by saying he already knows the reason. He says that Michael feels guilty for allowing sex offenders to be released during his tenure as a judge, which had indirectly led to his wife and daughter being murdered in their home. That night, Glasgow returns to his home and finds his wife passed out on the kitchen counter. He initially thinks that she simply fell asleep, however, upon realizing that she had been rendered unconscious, he quickly realizes that something is wrong. He rushes to his infant's room, and discovers his daughter missing as well. Meanwhile, the police station is being evacuated after receiving a suspicious package accompanied by a bomb threat. Amidst the chaos, Glasgow enters the police station and throws a police jacket at Simon, yelling at him to put it on. Using his daughter as leverage, someone is forcing Glasgow to break Simon out of custody, using the bomb threat as additional cover. Walter figures out that the bomb threat is merely a diversion and runs into the police station, but is too late. He goes straight to the holding cell but finds it already empty by the time he arrives. Simon is then seen getting out of Glasgow's vehicle and into the back of a white van, before waving goodbye. Back at the station, the bomb squad is working on assessing and defusing the threat. As Walter stands by, observing, the technicians slowly open the box, and are horrified by its contents. At this time, Glasgow also arrives on scene, and finding his infant daughter. His daughter then cries out, suggesting that she is unharmed. Glasgow picks up his daughter and runs out of the room, realizing the tragedy that was narrowly avoided. While continuing to research Simon's background, in an effort to locate him, Simon's father is found. He still lives in the area, so Walter and team immediately head out to his location. Upon entering, Simon is found sitting quietly at the table, bloody knife still in hand. His father lies nearby on the floor, already deceased. As he is being taken back into custody, Simon breaks into a manic tirade, demanding his teddy bear. He is so adamant about not leaving without it that he offers information in exchange. For his teddy bear, Simon says that he will provide Rachel with answers regarding any missing persons or open investigations. Back at his home, Michael makes a nice breakfast for Laura. He takes the tray into her room, only to find that she has gone missing yet again. Certain that Simon is responsible for Laura's disappearance, Michael plans to intercept the police transport. He runs his car into the police vehicle, causing it to hit an embankment and roll over. Michael then pulls Simon from the truck, and starts interrogating him regarding Laura's whereabouts. As he is doing so, a person in a police uniform walks up from behind, and shoots Michael. Simon stands up, calling the assailant a good boy, then proceeds to ask for a kiss. As they share a kiss, his face is then shown, and the assailant is revealed to be Simon himself. The person who was in the transport vehicle is actually Simon's identical twin brother. Simon was still wearing the police attire that Glasgow gave him. The two brothers then proceed to kill Michael, and kidnap Rachel. Walter realizes that Simon's father had been using that same teddy bear to keep track of his son. He retrieves the stuffed animal and tears it open, revealing the tracking device inside. Simon and his brother take Rachel and Laura to a frozen lake. They are placed in large bags, and drug out onto the ice. The brothers then use a tennis racket to scatter pieces of burning wood across the ice around them. Using the tracker from the teddy bear, Walter finds them at the lake. He immediately goes out onto the ice, planning to rescue the two women, but he is forced to stop after seeing how fragile the ice is. Laura and Rachel slowly make their way over to Walter, and he then takes off to pursue Simon and his brother. Rachel joins in on the pursuit, tracking them through the snow-covered forest. Simon's brother surprises her though, hitting her in the face and knocking her down. He stands over top of Rachel, taunting her, although she stuns him with a kick to the groin, which knocks him over. Rachel stands up and kicks him in the face, before trying to retrieve her gun. Simon's brother quickly gets on top of her, however, and overpowers her before choking her with both hands. He is stopped only by the sound of Simon calling for his help. Walter is holding Simon back at the frozen lake, and he says that he will only release Simon after Rachel is let go. Seeing no other option, Simon's brother lets Rachel go. She walks over to Walter, and once he feels confident that she's safe, Walter releases Simon. Before doing so, he whispers in Simon's ear to go and give his brother a big hug. Simon's brother still manages to shoot Walter once, but as he reaches his brother, the ice finally cracks underneath them. Simon and his brother both plunge into the frigid water, struggling only briefly before disappearing under the ice. In the aftermath, Lara proceeds to read a letter left for her by Michael, as she mourns his passing. She lights a candle for him as Michael thanks her for everything. Walter is then seen picking up his daughter Faye. He is accompanied by Rachel and they all get into his truck together, implying that Walter and Rachel are now in a relationship. Okay guys, thank you for watching. Please leave a like on the video, and subscribe to the channel for more.